It has been incredible to witness the unity, compassion, and resilience of the Capital Gazette staff, the city of Annapolis, and Anne Arundel County. I want to repeat one quote from the Capital Gazette editorial page that bears repeating. Wendy died protecting her friends, but also in defiance of her newsroom from a murderous assault. Wendy died protecting freedom of the press. Wendy and her colleagues died protecting the freedom of press. As Americans, we have a certain rights and responsibilities granted to us through the Constitution, which establishes the rule of law in this country. Freedom of the press is central to the very First Amendment of the Constitution and has often been flagrantly under attack since our nation's founding. Today, those attacks have become more frequent and more literal, spurred on by dangerous rhetoric that has nearly created an open season of denigrating and harassing the media from doing its job, asking questions that need to be asked, investigating the stories that need to be uncovered, and bringing needed transparency to the halls of power, whether they're in Annapolis, Washington, D.C., or elsewhere around the world. Journalists, like all Americans, should be free from the fear of being violently attacked while doing their job. On this day, 2 weeks ago, just as the public was learning about the shooting at the Capital Gazette, I had stopped into a meeting of my staffers were having with a group of students talking about gun violence and school safety. And since what happened in Parkland, and we had an episode in our own state, I've been meeting with students on a frequent basis just to hear their concerns. In all circumstances, the students have expressed to me their fear and frustration as to the safety within their schools. Some are angry, and all of them want to know why adults will finally start acting like adults and do something to keep them and their country safe. Without fail, students have told me that thoughts and prayers simply are not enough. Thoughts and prayers will not protect them from bullets, and they want Congress to act. Some of my colleagues have brought into the false rhetoric that there's nothing we can do about these random acts of gun violence. But students in Maryland and around the country know that this is not true. The American people also know this is not true. A recent CNN poll found that 70% of Americans now back tougher gun safety laws. These responses get higher with each deadly incident. Congress must act now to address the epidemic of gun violence in this country. Let's reinstate the assault weapon ban now. We can ban bump stocks now. Let us assure that all gun purchases have completed background checks. Madam President, I understand that the weapon that was used in the Annapolis shooting was a shotgun. It would not have been covered under these new laws. But the fact remains that if we pass sensible gun safety laws, we will save lives. I do want to say clearly that doing something does not mean arming educators or bringing more guns into our schools. Teachers are hired to teach, not to be security guards. Instead of putting guns in the hands of educators, we need to get them out of the hands of attackers in the first place. Let me conclude with these words of one of the survivors of the Capital Gazette shooting. Reporter Celine Saint-Felice shared her thoughts on July 1st opinion piece from the paper. She recounted the moment of the shooting and shared pretty succinctly what she thinks needs to happen next in this country. She wrote, "I watched John McNamara die. I had to step over Wendy Winters to escape. If your help ends at thoughts and prayers, I don't want them. What I want is action. I'm not just talking to the president or our governor or our elected officials. I'm talking to every single person in this nation. We must do better. We must vote better. We must push for legislation so this doesn't feel normal. Rob Hassan, Gerald Fishman, Wendy Winters, John McNamara, Rebecca Smith, and thousands of people are dead because of shootings like the one I lived through. The man who killed the people I love brought this gun legally. His record of stalking and harassments has been expunged. But even if he hadn't been, he still could have bought the gun he used to shoot Rebecca, Wendy, Rob, Gerald, and John. This is not political. I'm not asking for change as a liberal media puppet. I'm asking for something to be done for the sake of our humanity." And I think, quite frankly, Celine is speaking for many, many people in our community. We need to act. For Rebecca, Wendy, Rob, Gerald, and John, and the thousands who have been lost to needless gun violence, Congress must act. We must show that we can protect the American people, which is perhaps the most important task we have as lawmakers. We cannot stand by and pretend we are helpless and powerless to prevent another tragedy.